out of here, but well, I guess we have forum talking questions. But so my name is Ethan Foster. I'm the founder of Show Me Alternatives, and first of all, I just want to say I'm super excited to be here. I feel very honored to be selected by this great group of people to come out here and talk to you about what I've learned as an entrepreneur and the knowledge I've gained through this experience. I should start by explaining what Show Me Alternatives is. And my parents sitting out in the crowd, and I can tell they're very proud of me to be up there. They're very excited for me. But I will say that when I originally had this idea, I know they've initially been more proud had my business been more traditional, such as a successful popcorn business or design company. But Show Me Alternatives is not a traditional business. Show Me Alternatives is a medical cannabis company, and I'm a pot farmer. So I'm going to start this. I could talk literally about 4 hours about my whole company and every single detail that goes into and every single moving part that comes along with it. But I've got 15 minutes, so I'm going to really kind of break this presentation down in the sense of the tips that I would recommend to anyone in the crowd that would like to be an entrepreneur. I should start this about talking a little bit about me and where I'm from and who I am. So I'm Ethan Foster. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Macon, Missouri. I'm a senior here at Mizzou. I'm a plant science, breeding biology, biotechnology major. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. This is a kind of embarrassing picture of me and my dad from back in the day. But my family owns an 11-chain grocery store called C&R Supermarkets. They're located in northeast and north central Missouri. And I grew up in this business. I grew up in an entrepreneurial lifestyle where you see, your dad waking up at midnight to go fix a generator that had gone down in one of the stores, and you see what it really takes to make a successful business. And growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, you realize that your success and everything that you do is all dependent on how hard you work. I guess I could say that this entrepreneurial lifestyle was kind of bred into me, but I didn't really know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It took some time to get there, but I'll go over that. So here's my first tip, and I have 4 tips through this whole presentation. But number 1, believe in yourself. And this is a tip that I know sounds super cliche, but it's being an entrepreneur is super mental. And believing in yourself is seriously the most important thing. And I think this is what really strived me to keep pushing this idea of growing cannabis and growing, finding my passion. But pretty much kind of how it all came about. I came into college as a freshman. Originally, I was a biochem major, and I originally thought I wanted to be a doctor. And that was kind of an idea that I had in my mind all throughout high school. But I come to Mizzou, and I go for that whole freshman year biochem, and I hated it. I didn't like my classes. I didn't like what I was learning. And quite frankly, I thought, this isn't for me, and this isn't my career path. So during that freshman year, me and my friends sat around, and honestly, we talked a lot about cannabis. We talked about the industry. We talked about how it's growing and how, quite frankly, it's coming to Missouri as it is now. But, I had the idea, and my friend was actually the one who said it to me, but he said, hey man, I want to go to the business side. You go to the plant science side. We'll come together. You can grow it, and I'll run the business side. And I was like, all right, crazy idea. Really don't know if it's possible or I should even consider that. But I don't know why that whole freshman year, it seriously just dwelled in my mind. I thought about it a lot, and I thought, man, I could do this. I really could, be the first one in Missouri. So that spring semester of 2017, it was a rough week, I guess, so to say. I had a lot going through my mind, and I was very unhappy where I was. And, I'll never forget, me and my cousin, and I was walking up the south stairwell of my fraternity. I'm Alpha Gamma Rho as well. But walking up the south stairwell with my cousin, I said to him, hey, Sky, if I do this and I go plant science, will this cause a huge, uproar in our family? Will they be upset? Will they be mad? And he looked at me and goes, they probably will. I'm not going to recommend it. Well, 2 weeks later, I switched to plant science. Without my mom knowing, and I called her up and I said, Mom, I'm plant science now. I want to be a head grower for a cannabis company. And you can only imagine how that conversation went. Most of you don't know my mom, but she was super not happy. I think I heard a couple screams on the phone. And quite frankly, it was the worst 2 weeks of my life that followed that. Parents didn't really talk to me. They were upset with me. Kind of thought, as any parent, they think your kid can be a president, that you can be the governor of Missouri, and then when you tell your parents, I want to be a cannabis head grower, they're like, no, this is not the route. So, you can kind of see how that came about. But 2 weeks got by, and I'm not a guy who just makes irrational decisions. There was a lot of factual information that came into this. I really did read everything out, and I had, I was prepared to tell my parents this is why I'm doing it. So, during that summer 2017 through 2018, it was a lot of me explaining factual information to them, then doing some research on their own, and then realizing that I had a good basis for why I'm doing this. 2018 summer comes around, my aunt and uncle, they live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My uncle hooked me up with a job for a medical cannabis company out there. That's Everest Apothecary, that's their logo. So I worked out there for a summer. This is where I really saw, my passion for this industry, my passion for helping people. And so, go out there, I saw the whole operation from start to finish, from growing and harvesting, curing, processing, to everything that goes into the database of a cannabis company. So, great experience, and I love that summer. We'll always cherish that. Here's another picture of me. This past summer, I worked for a guy by the name of Bernie Hymos at NG Hymos Greenhouses. We planted over 60 acres of hemp. I've germinated over 100,000 hemp seedlings through this process. And so really saw, the hemp process from start to finish. But, cannabis and hemp are the same plant, they grow the same way, and I knew as a grower, I needed that experience. And I had, I believe in myself, but I had to get that experience to be where I wanted to be. So I'm going to kind of go into the Show Me Alternatives beginning. So 2018 comes around, November 2018, medicinal marijuana comes onto the ballot. It passes in the state of Missouri, 68% to 32%, so it passed with flying colors. And when that day happened, the next day, me and my parents knew that if we wanted to get involved in the industry, we had to learn, we had to, we had to start taking steps forward to do that. So my best friend found a conference up in KC. People looked at me and I was like, we're going. I ended up calling my mom. I was like, should we go? And they were like, oh, absolutely. So we ended up buying these tickets to a Missouri Cannabis Trade Association conference in Kansas City. We go up there. It was a great experience, but I'm not gonna lie, it was very discouraging. It was over like 1,000 people. There were multiple speakers, and quite frankly, the whole time they were saying, telling us how difficult it is to get into this industry. And we left that conference probably more discouraged than I had ever been in those 2 years leading up to this. But during that conference, we met a guy by the name of Jack Mitchell. Jack Mitchell became our strategic business partner and our consultant through this. And I do give a lot of props to him for leading us into the right direction of making this idea become a reality. So I have this slide up here. So pretty much once we decided to work with Jack that we were going to pursue this, we needed to figure out how many licenses we were going to apply for. And when I say licenses, there's 3 different ones: dispensary, manufacturing, and cultivation. The state of Missouri has only given out 190 dispensary, 85 manufacturing, and 60 cultivation. So, we had to just, it shows how competitive it is. And if you really want these licenses, you have to be, a premier leader. And, you've got to show that your company can do what you say you're going to do. So, as a group, we, not only were my parents involved in this one, we did this bigger than myself. My aunt and uncle got involved, my cousin got involved, my other aunt and uncle got involved. And it really became this huge family ordeal. But we decided we're going for 8 different applications, 8 different licenses. We're going for 5 dispensaries, 2 cultivations, and a manufacturing. This kind of shows the location where we're focusing on. We're focusing on the northeast part of Missouri. That's where I'm from. That's where I'm born and raised, and we have roots there. We're not going for big cities, and we're really that's our niche, just so to say. But should go more into it. So. Tip number 2 is consistency, and this relates to almost every aspect of your business. But for us in this startup, many of you may know cannabis is still illegal federally, and so you can't go to a bank and get a traditional loan. You have to do venture capital. That was something I've never done. Obviously, my parents have never done it, and our whole team had never done it. So it was a huge learning curve. But to be involved, we had to do venture capital. So consistency, I think, is a huge tip because whether we were waking up every single day, during the 2019 summer, I was working to better my growing skills. My cousin was waking up every single day to write application questions. But the big part came to raising that money. And I'm going to be honest, to do all these 8 applications and to fund it in a way that to run it correctly, and you're going to take losses. So expecting that, we had to raise $20 million, and we had to do that in 5 months. And being from a family, being from a group that has no experience doing that was a huge task. But we knew we could do it. So through the guidance and meeting people, we started off friends of the family, and then other friends were reaching out to other people saying you need to come talk to these people about investing. Well, we ended up raising that $20 million in 5 months. And from a group that's never done it, I was very proud of everyone. But a big thing of it, I'll give a story real quick. So I guess I give two stories, but one story real quick is my first investment meeting. I sit down, and this guy by the name of Don DeWay looked across, and he's throwing all this investment terminology out, and I'm like, I have no idea what you mean. So felt really, really bad leaving there, and I was like, I felt dumb, I felt like an idiot, and I don't ever want to let that happen again. So what to do? Go out, buy a couple books, and learn so the next investment meeting I wouldn't feel that way. Another one, was we had a guy out of Texas. He was on the verge of investing upwards of $15 million, and we were very hopeful. We thought that this was going to happen. We were going to get our money. Fell through. He said, "No, I'm not involved, and I don't want to invest with you all." So another big part, and this is the most important tip I can give. These other people said this as well. Build a strong team. And this is the truth. I will sit up here and say, yes, I had the idea, yes, I had the initiative to start this, but the only reason my company is where it's at now is through my team, and that is 100% the truth. As you can see, my family, the Foster family, my aunt and uncle, the Thomas family, the Montoya family, I'm super, super proud to know that these are my first real business partners, and these are the people that I'm going to be working with daily for the next however many years to make this happen. These are the most really put together, business savvy people you're going to meet, and super honored to know that my team is my family. And quite frankly, I think the reason we raised the money during this time was because we have such a strong team. In every single investment meeting, we were honest with every single person about where we are, who we are as people, and where we are, and the ability to raise money. So, the trustworthiness and the people I'm working with is very huge. This is a long paragraph. You don't have to read this. I meant to shorten this down, but didn't get it edited. The state wanted to see what's your cannabis experience. So we had to recruit members of our team that have high cannabis experience. You can't just say, I'm going to go start this business, but then have no one with no experience there to say that you can, actually do it. So this is our COO, Gary, great guy. Our other cannabis experience, we're doing a manufacturing lab. We had to go out and recruit manufacturers, made a deal with manufacturers out of the state of California to come in and run our lab for us. Same with Michelle Mahoney. These are my ex-managers when I worked down at Everest. They live in Boston currently, and they're coming back to work with us. But developing a team is huge, and that is the most important thing, I feel like, I think it's a big myth in entrepreneurship that as an entrepreneur, you need to do it all, when in actuality, you specialize in your part, but you surround yourself with good people that can pick up your slack and where you're lacking. Tip number 4 is do what is needed. This looks like nothing to you all, but each application that we applied for came with 78 questions. We applied for 8 applications times 78, you're looking at 624 questions in total. That is a lot of writing. Every single question was anywhere between 200 to 500 words, up to 1,000, a couple of them. This one I had particularly wrote, but in the summer, so 2019, I worked for Bernie Hymos and did him for the first 2 months. Well, when it was getting crunch time, because the applications were due on August 17th, it was crunch time, so it was time for me to leave that job and come back to help write these applications. So I come back home about mid to early July and did nothing but seriously work 14 to 16-hour days. We were up literally. Our house was like the office, and at one point there were 10 people in there, laptops open, coffee cups everywhere. It literally was our own little home office. And came back and I played lawyer for the last month. We did stuff of writing these applications because they have to be written in such a way that it looks like it's professional, technical law writing, which is something I had never done before. But something my cousin, who did this all summer, had never done before. But we knew that to be, get this business to where we wanted to be, we had to learn. And so when I say by do what is needed, it means learn what is needed. When I was in an investment meeting and I felt, bad because, I didn't know the terminology, what I do, I go out and learn so the next time I'm in an investment meeting, you don't feel like that. And same thing for this. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how to write law, but I don't know how to cite regulations. So when I came back for the summer, you teach yourself, what is needed to get done. So, for instance, this one's all about security and, taking, codes 19 CSR 30-95.040. It's like you would never really expect yourself to know that until you're forced to do it. And so that's a huge tip. And as an entrepreneur, I think you should know every single side of your business. And for me, that was half the reason I wanted to go plant science, is because I want to be able to walk into my grow and say that plant is lacking potassium. We're mixing up a different nutrient cycle to, to feed it, get rid of those symptoms. And I want to be able to look at the accounting books and say, hey, why are these numbers out of whack, or whatever the deal may be. I do feel like an entrepreneur, you should know at least generally every part of your business. I want to end it on my favorite quote. This is what I think really inspires me as an entrepreneur. But in this quote, pretty much how it goes is, an entrepreneur is a person who would rather spend 100 hours a week working for themselves than 40 hours a week working for someone else. So, thank you.